Okay, welcome. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining the scorecard so you can pinpoint your strengths and identify your own individual weaknesses. Now, the benefit of this is you're going to know exactly what type of training you should be doing, where you're good, where you need to develop so that you can become the best athlete that you can be. But don't miss the opportunity at the end of this short video because I'm going to be giving you a really, really cool offer. So stick around to the end and wait for that offer to pop up. Now, why is assessment so important? Well, first of all, objective feedback is smarter training. If you know what your scores are, you can base your training on something. It's not just plucked out of the air or just using some chat GPT answer. You're getting a very clearly defined program based on a set of data, which is the way really good training should be. Second, you're going to avoid wasted effort rather than wasting your time on budget programs or just cheap crap programs you might have found online. You're going to get really high quality training because you're going to know exactly what you need to focus on. Thirdly, you know, identify your injury risks. A lot of the time, these are kind of what I would call like a blind spot. You don't really know what that injury risk until you've assessed your body first. You've got to make sure you're doing this. Otherwise, you're not going to know which part of the body you should be focused on and what the risks for you are. Finally, you could individualize your training rather than just doing the same thing as everybody else. You can do a program that is actually built for you. And that is the most important thing of all. So, key points. Make sure you're warmed up. Okay, I will reiterate that again. Just make sure you're really, really warm because what you don't want to do is risk injury. And secondly, you want to do the best that you can. So make sure you're thoroughly warm. Look at my resources on the movement prep sequence so you know exactly how to prepare yourself for this. Again, go to YouTube, type in hockey movement prep, and my video will pop up. Go through that. So make sure you're getting yourself warm with the pulse raiser, doing lots of good mobility work as well. Okay, secondly, use good technique. Watch the videos for every assessment. Do them well. Don't try and rush them. Don't ignore the technique that I've given you in the video. Make sure you're following it properly. Thirdly, if something causes pain, stop. Don't try and push through. Don't think that you're being a strong-minded person by doing that. Your body is telling you something if there's pain. So please stop if you experience pain at any point. Finally, prioritize form, not speed or ego. Don't try and rush things. Don't try and push through just because you think you're going to get a better score. If there's pain or if you're not doing it properly, that doesn't count. It's got to be done to a very, very high standard and it's got to be pain-free. So just want to reiterate those key points before we get going. All right, so how it works. You've got 8 tests. Each one is scored from 0 to 4. If you've got a single leg exercise, you're going to take the score for both and take the average. So if you've done 20 and 30, then you would take 25 as your average for the 2 legs. You're going to log your scores in the Google Sheets. Now, if you've got the PDF here, you can click that yellow tab and it will show you. Equally, if you've gone through into the page that you're watching this video on, then there's a link below here to access the Google Sheet as well. You're going to plug your scores in, and I'll explain in just a second how to enter the data so you can visualize the scores. What it's going to automatically do then is create a radar chart for you to visualize your scores. So you can see on the chart where you're good, where you're not so good, and you can print that out so you've got a really clear visual. When you come to do it again, then you can compare against the previous tests and see where you've improved, which should be really, really cool. Okay, this is how it's going to look. So if you hopefully at this point you've got the Google Sheet open in front of you. If you haven't done so, pause this video and open it. When you click on the link, it will say make a copy. You can then make your own copy of this so that you can edit the version. So first of all, what you're going to see is this table. It's got the standards across the 8 different tests, and it's got a color-coded 1 to 4 score for each different test, from elite, which is 4 points, performance, which is 3 points, intermediate, which is 2 points, and beginner, which is 1 point. And obviously the standards are in this table, so you can see really clearly what the scores are. So for example, if you're looking along the overhead squat and you score and you get 2 for that, then you plug 2 points into your score. It will turn yellow for the intermediate, and it will also tally up this total score up here, which I'll explain in just a second. And it will also create this radar chart for you so you can see where you're good and where you're not so good. Okay, the assessments. It's what I call the core 8. We've got an overhead squat for mobility. We've got a single leg squat, bridge and calf raise, a Copenhagen hold, a supine hold, a 10-meter sprint, and a 16 pitch length run. Again, if you've got the PDF in front of you, all of these links here have got embedded links to the video, but also on the Google Sheet, the links are also embedded for you too. And on this video, I'll be walking them through with you too. So hopefully you can get access to the correct video and you can see exactly how the test should be done. Why these tests? Well, for a few reasons. I could add a lot more. We could have done heavy strength training, for example. But ultimately, what you want is something that requires minimal equipment, Anyone can do it. It's simple and repeatable, and it's hockey specific in relation to the profile and demands of the sport. So I don't want to give you something that is going to be complex, require crazy equipment, or just is limiting for certain people. I don't want this to be exclusive to a certain number of people. This is a set of tests that can be done quite literally by anybody as long as you are fit and able to do the tests and you aren't injured. It doesn't require any equipment. So super, super simple. Okay, format wise, try and do this across 2 different days. Don't try and do it all in one day because it will be very tough unless you fancy taking that approach. My recommendation though would be to do mobility and capacity testing on day 1, speed and conditioning on day 2, just like my clients do. We separate this into different days so that you have a chance to recover before doing your speed and conditioning work. Okay, let's run through the test. So day 1. The first one is the overhead squat. So I'll play the video first of all. With this assessment, you're going to have a hockey stick overhead. So ignore the video where I'm holding a barbell. This is going to be a hockey stick instead. Very simple. Over the head, along the crown of the head. Your feet are going to be hip width apart. You're going to squat down as low as you can. And at the bottom here, if I just pause the video, 4 points would be the sticks overhead, so it's not coming forwards or back. The hips are below the knees, and there's no forward lean or lateral lean, just like this. So you've got bar overhead, hips below the knees, no forward trunk lean, no lateral lean either. Performance would be one of the above is not achieved. So you might, for example, not be able to get your hips below your knees, but the stick's overhead and your forward lean haven't got a forward lean. Intermediate, 2 of the above aren't achieved, and a beginner would be none of the above achieved. You essentially just can't do the movement. Sticks going forward, you're leaning, you can't get low. That would be 1 point. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to plug the score into the sheet and it will color code it for you automatically. For this, you can have 3 attempts, so 3 different reps. If you want to have a quick practice go and do a 1 rep as a practice, that's also absolutely fine. Okay, exercise number 2, the single leg box squat. Now, this is testing your single leg strength for max reps. Okay, so box should be a knee height. So whatever the height of the box you're using should be your own knee height. A slow controlled descent like in the video. No bouncing off the box. Max reps on each leg. And you're allowed here 1 quick adjustment, by which I mean if you need to quickly adjust your foot position or you lose balance for a split second once, that is okay. The second time that happens, you end the test. Okay, so just be very, very strict with yourself on that. Don't try and keep resetting and taking rest periods because that should be capped. So no rest periods allowed, but 1 quick readjustment if you lose your balance is okay. Again, add the scores in, put it into the sheet, and you're going to have a score of 4, 3, 2, or 1. For the remainder of the test, I'm not going to include the standards on this video just in case I update them later and then they're all wrong. But refer to the Google Sheet because that will always be the live and accurate standards for the test. But this is how to do the tests. Okay, next up, single leg bridge. For this assessment, you're going to set a metronome. And again, if you click this link, it will take you through to Google. And there's a very, very simple metronome that Google just has automatically. Set it to 60 BPM. You're going to go 1 second up, 1 second down. On that tempo, you're going to push up to full extension. So your hips at full extension. Again, 1 quick adjustment's allowed and max reps on each leg. So you're going until you can't do any more reps at all. Now, a few reasons why this might be capped. 1, you experience pain. Make sure you stop. 2, your foot begins to slide away because your hamstring is beginning to fatigue. Or 3, you don't achieve full extension. So just make sure that is being kept in mind. Okay, plug your score 4, 3, 2, or 1 into the sheet. And again, it will update the scores for you. Take the average of both legs and use that as your benchmark. Okay, single leg calf raise. Next up, very, very simple, or similar, to the single leg bridge in that you're using a metronome. It's 1 up, 1 down. You need to achieve full range of motion and it's for max reps. A couple of small caveats to this one. Just make sure that fingertips only on the wall, so you're not holding onto a bar and pulling yourself up with your body. It just needs to be fingertips on the wall. Max reps on each leg again. Take the average of both. Plug the score in. Take a rest period for this type of exercise of about 60 seconds between efforts on each leg, just to make sure you're giving each leg a fair shot, and plug the score in again. Okay, supine trunk hold. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. In the video, what I'm showing is a dish hold. That's where your feet are unsupported. If you can't do this just because for whatever reason, either you're experiencing pain doing it, or it's just not achievable, you can place your feet underneath something to give yourself a little bit of stability, and that will obviously make the test quite considerably easier, but it's still very demanding. Now, with this test, it is challenging. I've put here some shaking is normal. I'm actually shaking in that video there. And you should stop if you feel any any lower back pain whilst doing this. Once you've got the score, look at the standards, put 4, 3, 2, or 1 into the sheet, and again, it will update the scores for you. Okay, Copenhagen hold. For this one, it's a sort of hybrid trunk and adductor groin assessment. So really important for hockey for a variety of injury risk reasons. Now, this is a max duration hold. You're going to cap this at 120 seconds, so you don't need to go any longer than that. But keep your hips and your shoulders square on. Okay, so making sure everything is square on if you can. If you don't hold that position, you're again allowed one quick adjustment, but just make sure you're not constantly having to adjust yourself whilst doing the movement. Head remains in neutral. If this isn't possible, now because it can be quite jarring on the knee, if you've got any kind of medial ligament issue or just generally a kind of knee-related problem, there's quite a lot of loading through the knee. So you can take a short lever option, which I've embedded as a link in this PDF as well. Essentially, you just rest your knee on the bench rather than your foot. Again, that just shortens the length of the lever. So that is an option if it's painful or injury doesn't allow this movement. Okay, on to day 2. This is now your running-based assessments. So you've got a timed 10-meter sprint. This is the 10-meter sprint, very simply, from a 2-point start. So you're starting from a standing position. You get the best of 3 attempts to take your fastest effort. Take a 60-second rest between your efforts and use timing gates, ideally. I did say no equipment, but this is the one where actually accuracy is important. So ideally use timing gates. If you don't have them, which most people probably don't, then you can record by using your smartphone. You record yourself side on, and what you can do is, as soon as you begin sprinting, you can see what the time stamp is on the video. And as you cross the line, you can again see what the timestamp is on the video. So you can then take that difference as your time for 10 meters. And it's probably going to be around 1.6 to 2 seconds. So you hit record, go over to the start position of the start line, give it your best shot over 10 meters, go back to your phone, stop the video, and retrace that sprint. So you can see the timestamp at the start and timestamp at the end, and you'll be able to see what your time was. Less accurate, but more accurate than a stopwatch, which is the worst case scenario. You just have someone recording you and using a stopwatch again. A lot of human error in stopwatches, but if that's all you've got, then that's all you've got. Okay, so those are your 3 ways in which you can do this. And I've got a video just embedded here which shows you just around acceleration technique and how we're looking to perform this type of movement. Okay, finally then, we've got the 16 pitch lengths. So this is the sort of main conditioning assessment. Now, again, there's loads of different assessments you can do. You could do a 30-15, you can do a 10 pitch lengths run, a 3-minute test, a yo-yo. There's all sorts of tests you can do. The beauty of the 16 pitch lengths is its simplicity. You just have to run 16 lengths of a pitch in the best effort you can. It doesn't require any kit. You can do it any way you like, as long as you've got a hockey pitch. It can be done on another pitch, but the distances of those pitches will be different. So you've got to just factor that in. The great thing about having hockey pitch is that you know exactly how long the pitch is. It's 91.4 meters exactly, which is 1462 over 16 or 1600 yards. So ideally use a hockey pitch here. You're going to record your best time, aim for a consistent pace. What we don't want to see is absolutely flying out the gates to begin with, completely gassing out halfway through, and then at the end having to pick the pace back up massively. You will inevitably be able to sprint the last length because that's just the way the human brain works. It's going to uncap your effort and you're going to be able to sprint, but just try to avoid going out of the gates too fast. Use a stopwatch to time yourself. Ideally have a partner to motivate and time you, because that way you don't have to focus on how many lengths you've done and keep reminding yourself how long you've got to go. You have someone else just telling you that information. Okay, that's the final test. So day 2 now done. You can plug all of your scores in. Next up, let's look at how to interpret the data. All right, so your total score is going to look like this in the spreadsheet. Now, each test, as we've said, is scored from 1 to 4. 4 being elite, 3 being performance, 2 being intermediate, 1 being beginner. It's going to give you a total score out of 32. So 32 would be a perfect score. Obviously, that would be elite. On the Google Sheet, it will give you your ranking and your score automatically based on this information. So once you've plugged in all the different test scores, it will tell you what your total score is and what your rank is for a cumulative score. Obviously, you're going to find out by test what your ranking is, but overall, what's your athletic score? That's going to give you a score of beginner, intermediate, performance, or advanced cumulatively. Now, if you are a beginner, which is okay, it is what it is. It's not about trying to compare yourself with other people. It's just this is a ranking-based system. Then your total score will be between 0 and 12, which will be the first to the 30th percentile in like a normal distribution of test scores. If it's an intermediate, then your total score will sit between 13 and 20. So you'll be in the 30th to the 70th percentile. If you're in the performance category, your total score will be 21 to 26. That's the 70th to the 85th percentile. And then finally, elite, your total score will be 27 to 32, which is the 85th to the 100th percentile. So top 15%. So that's what the overall scoring system will look like for you and what your total score will look like. Now, just to explain, this isn't based on a particular level, it's based on all levels. That's why it is phrased as it is, beginner, intermediate, performance, and elite, because an international athlete should be aspiring for an elite score, whereas someone who's just started playing hockey is probably going to be a beginner, and that's okay. So it's just trying to understand like where you sit relative to global standards for these different tests. Okay, so just to clarify that one. Now, plotting the scores on the radar chart, this will happen automatically. Go to the chart tab and you'll see this radar chart for you. Now, the further out the line for each test, the better the score. Obviously, 1 is in the middle, 4 is on the outside. So if you had a perfect score of 4, you'd see a circle literally all the way around the outside. If you scored 1 for everything, you'd have a small circle in the middle. Now, interpreting the scores, it might be unbalanced like this. It might be that you've got a 4 for something, a 3 for something, and then a couple of 1s and 2s. Now, that would be what's called an unbalanced profile. You've got some areas doing really, really well and other areas where you're doing not so well. I want you to identify the biggest areas of strength for you and focus on maintaining these. There's probably a reason why this is a strength for you, and you shouldn't try to diminish your strengths. You should maintain those as your key strengths, but you've also got to identify what are your key injury risk sort of targets here. Now, if you, in this case, you've got a Copenhagen score of 4, that's brilliant, but your single leg box squat strength is actually fairly average, or what's a better example? Single leg bridge, similar. Then you know those could be boosted. So those could probably be some really, really good injury risk targets for you to focus on. So take that as a balance. Make sure you identify what strengths are and prioritize injury risk areas. But you might have quite a balanced profile. You might have a score of a 2 for everything, in which case actually you've got a fairly balanced overall profile, but the scores themselves aren't so good. So really, you've got to try and incorporate all areas of training and try and boost those 2s to 3s and continue to develop your position-specific attributes. So it's hard to focus on all things all the time, but what you can do is prioritize some of the key things. So if you're an attacker, forward, then speed is such a massive part of your game. It's important that you make that a priority, whilst in balance, try and focus on the injury risk factors as well. So try and take everything into consideration. If you want fast impact on these different areas, here are some things that I'd recommend. So if mobility is a problem for you and your squat score wasn't too good, then you do need to be doing regular weekly soft tissue prep and stretching of the thoracic, hips, and ankles. Just make that a non-negotiable every week. Just keep doing it. Again, I've got videos around mobility. If you want me to send them over, just send me a message. Capacity, that's with our calf, adductor, trunk scores. Then low intensity, high volume exercises targeting the hamstrings, calf, trunk, and groin every week should be the priority for you. And that's going to make a really big impact quite quickly. Aim to do around 90% of the reps you can do for your max over a number of sets. Strength scores, okay, if these aren't too good, then high load, low volume, multi-joint exercise like back squatting, RDLing, chin-ups, and pressing should be the sort of core focus for you right now. And I would argue for every hockey player, that should always be a focus. Now, we haven't tested this, as I've said, for a variety of reasons, but that will have an impact on literally everything. So make that a priority. Speed, if that's the focus, then regular weekly exposure to high quality speed work with long recovery. plus plyos and heavy strength training will make the biggest difference. But if it's conditioning, then interval work, not long steady state work, is going to make the difference here. So various formats, tempo, mass, sprint intervals, off-beat conditioning in a variety of different formats is the most impactful way to improve your conditioning scores. Okay, now I said I was going to make you an offer at the beginning of the video, and this is it. If you want my help and you want to work with me one-to-one, like the 150 hockey players that have done and have had amazing results, then I want to make you an offer to book a consultation call with me. If you've done this assessment and you've identified that actually there are a few areas here which you need to focus on, but you just don't know how, or you don't have the time to create a program that's individualized for you, and you need some support to achieve your goals, then I want to make this offer to you. You can book a free consultation call using the link in this PDF and also at the bottom of the page if you're watching this video. But this is specifically for very highly motivated hockey players looking for fast, impactful results with a paid coaching program. So someone who's really invested in their performance. You might be sitting at an intermediate level, want to take your level up to performance. You might be performance and think, actually, I am an elite athlete. I want to push up to the elite level now. Whatever your level is and whatever the next level is for you, then the consultation call is the best place to start. So if you want to click the link, book a chat with me at a time that's convenient for you, and really looking forward to having a conversation with you about how I can help you get exactly where you want to be with your hockey. Thanks for your time, and I'll speak to you very soon.